So, if your win rate is lower on Battlefield of Eternity, there are a few fast strategies that you can use to completely turn it around. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 quick topics that you can use to maximize your effectiveness on Battlefield of Eternity. Really quick, the map basics we'll cover first. Second, we'll talk about the draft. What do you want to draft on Battlefield of Eternity? Third, we're going to talk about the lane setup. What do you want to do for each lane? Who's going top? Who's going bottom? Fourth, we'll talk about the map strategy as a whole. And then fifth, we'll do a really quick recap about the most important points for you guys. Let's get into it right now. All right, so part 1, the map basics for Battlefield of Eternity. Battlefield of Eternity is a 2-lane map. We have the bot lane and we have the top lane. In addition to the lane, there's a very large, look how big this jungle area is in the middle of the map. A lot of smoke vents as well. Besides the lanes, we have 2 shaman camps spawn at the 1-minute mark, and they respawn every 4 minutes. Here and here. And we have 2 Khazra camps that also spawn at the 1-minute mark and respawn every 3 minutes. There's also the objective on this map. The objective is announced at the 2-minute and 30-second mark, and it begins officially at the 3-minute mark. Okay, so the objective preview appears in the minimap. You can tell where you'll have to defend and where you'll have to attack. You see a little shield and a little attack here. This is the objective you want to be attacking, and this is going to be the one you'll be defending. This will be your allied immortal. The immortals spawn at 3 minutes. How this works is you're going to damage the enemy immortal quicker than your opponents damage your immortal. Each team gets their own immortal, and the first one to kill the enemy immortal gets their own immortal that'll come and push down the lane with them. So here you have the minimap, so you know we'll be attacking here. So you get set up in place, and you'll go and you'll attack the enemy immortal. Once you get the enemy immortal to 50% health, or if your allied immortal gets put to 50% health, whichever happens first, then there'll be a halftime phase. There's always a break in the halftime. We'll see how it looks soon. Okay, so there's the halftime. Both the immortals go, and they kind of do a little cool animation here, and they go separately. They'll always first go up and down, and then they'll go left and right. Once the immortals are defeated, or once one immortal is defeated, the other one will go into lane and push, like we said. Now, one more thing to note here. The immortal, whichever spawns, either yours or the enemy's, is going to have 100% health, and it's also going to have a shield. The shield is a percentage of your ally's immortal's health when the enemy immortal dies, or vice versa. So you see how our immortal now is going to have 100% health. That means it's going to also have 100% shield when it goes into lane. If it had 50% health, when we defeat the enemy's immortal, it would have a 50% shield. Same thing, vice versa. So once you defeat him, you defeat the enemy immortal. Now your immortal wins triumphantly, and there's 2 globes you can take here once you win the objective. You can also steal the globes from the enemy. They behave just like, here's health's going up. You see his shield's 100% there, the white bar. So you can grab these globes. You can also, if the enemy gets it, you can invade their globes. They behave just like lane globes. You see, it's originally blue for you, and then after a while it turns purple, and anyone can steal it. That's the same for those globes. You can steal them. When the immortal has a shield, it does a range attack. You can see it now. It's doing this ranged attack. It's shooting from far away from the towers. When the shield goes away, you'll see it'll switch to a melee attack. The immortal also has 2 abilities. This whirlwind ability here, how you just saw, called cleave. The immortal uses the cleave ability. Here's his health. His shield is gone. You see he's meleeing now. Now the second ability the immortal can use is explosions. Here are explosions. You see these red circles? If you stand in these red circles, you take a nasty stun. The circles spawn, and they take 2 seconds to detonate, and then if you get hit by them, they stun for 2 seconds. It deals heavy damage. Here, we'll stand in 1. 1, 2. 2 seconds stun. Oh, 1 more. 1, 2. So it's a really nasty stun. Look at the massive amount of damage it does.
No, that's a lot of damage!
Both abilities have a 14-second cooldown, and both abilities are used by the immortal, whether it's in the objective phase and you're damaging the immortal, whether it's your allied immortal and it's the objective phase. It only uses it when an enemy hero is in range, though, so he won't use it here on me because we're allies here. They'll both use these same exact abilities when they're pushing in lane. Now, besides this, we also have to talk about the new core abilities that the Nexus has. Let's take a look at those really quick. So this core ability spawns frozen orbs that explode every 12 seconds. They do 5% of your maximum health, so an okay amount of damage, but they root you for 1.5 seconds. They're a little bit hard to dodge because there's not that much overlap space between them. You see you have to stand between this narrow kind of space to dodge them while you're hitting the core. It's a little hard to dodge. Okay, so let's jump into part 2 here, the draft. Race is a big thing that is talked about a lot on Battlefield of Eternity. What is race? Race is heroes who have the ability to kill the immortal quickly. The idea being, if you can kill it quickly, you can capture it more easily, you get more objectives, you win the game. This is something that is true. Race is better on this, but this is something that is overvalued quite a lot by all levels of play. Now, I don't mean it's not important. It's important, but it's not worth throwing the draft, or it's not worth playing a hero you're not familiar with just because you need race. Really what this map comes down to is winning a team fight. You're all hanging out here. Their immortal is not too far from your immortal. if you don't have race and they do have race, you can go kill them. You don't have to beat them in race. You know, they're not very far from you. It's not race or lose this map. I only bring this up. Race is important. I see a lot of people playing Vala, Greymane, Iron Fist carries in, playing Artanis, and they have no idea how to play this hero, and they just play it because everyone knows race is important on Battlefield of Eternity, and those heroes have race. A lot of time how you win in Storm League is you play what you're good at. Right now in Battlefield of Eternity, Vala is considered the fastest racer. She barely has a higher than 50% win rate. Almost every single league, according to Heroes Profile. Greymane is one of the fastest racers, below 50%. Sylvanas, one of the fastest racers, just barely above 50%. Artanis, one of the fastest racers, below 50%. Race is not winning most players this game. It's actually losing most players this game because they're putting too much value on race and playing heroes they're not comfortable on. Play what you're good at. What you're good at happens to be race. Do it on this map, but don't throw the draft or don't play a hero you're not comfortable on just because you need a little more race. Now, with that being said, we mentioned a few heroes, but let's talk about some of the best racers on Battlefield of Eternity that we're going to pick only if we're good at those heroes. Vala, Greymane, Hanzo, Artanis, Sylvanas. Those are some of your really strong racers. Rhaegar's really strong. Karazim's really strong. Rainer's pretty good. A lot of these heroes, too, you have to be mindful of the talent. So Vala's really strong here. Vala's Q build does a ton of damage to the Immortal. Vala's other builds don't do quite as much. You're going to want to take Q build if you're a good Vala player on this map. So Artanis, you're going to have to take Amateur Opponent at level 1 to make his race good. Amateur Opponent allows Artanis to do 150% more damage to minions, monsters, and mercenaries. With each of these heroes, there's specific builds that have race built into them on each of these maps. Check out those builds. Know these heroes well before you jump into them, but pick them here if you're good at them. Another important thing for Storm League, something that is very nice, this camp here. This camp is maybe the most important thing to winning this map, doing this camp at the right time. This camp is really, really impactful. This is your Shaman camp. Playing someone who can solo this camp is a really nice way to control what happens with this camp in your Storm League experience. Rhaegar, Karazim, and Samaru. Nice thing about those three heroes, they're good at doing the camp, they're also good at racing. They cover two items here. You're good at Rhaegar, you're good at Karazim, if you're good at Samaru. Could be nice here, you can do the camp, you can control what happens with the camp, you can also get the race done. That's really all you need to know about drafting on this map, besides having a well-balanced draft. You know, double front line is nice, double support can work here actually. Something else you can consider on Battlefield of Eternity is double healer. Why double healer on Battlefield of Eternity? Well, in general, double healer is strong for winning team fight. A lot of players don't really take into consideration the possibility of playing double healer, but it's really powerful at winning a team fight. Double healer has a really, really big weakness on most maps. That is, double healer's wave clear is usually terrible. And if the enemy team has a bunch of camps or a bunch of minions or a Zerg wave on Braxis, you're kind of doomed. You're never going to clear with double healer. But wave clear doesn't really matter on Battlefield of Eternity. All you have is 2 lanes, and all you have is 2 enemy camps that can push against you. So if you don't have any wave clear to clear that, it's fine. It doesn't really matter because pretty much any team can clear a minion wave or 2 and a camp or 2. You're not going to need to draft a ton of wave clear for that. So consider double healer here. And then lastly, keep in mind, wave clear is not a big deal where it is on pretty much every other map. So you can get away with just drafting totally for the team fight on this map. Okay, let's jump into part 3, the lane setup. So what are you going to do for lanes? The game has just started. It's the first 10 seconds of the game. Who's going where? Generally, we send 4 bot and we send 1 top. But we don't have to do that. This is done for tradition, and there's no other reason. It's like Bractus holdout. 4 bot, 1 top, most of the time, just for tradition. This is the least important laning phase in the game as it's relatively short, and very quickly everyone's going to move into this middle area and start fighting here. It doesn't really matter too much what you do. If you feel like your 4-man's going to get crushed in the bot lane, or more importantly, if they have very important quests to do by hitting enemy heroes like Zul'jin, like Chromie, like Medivh, like Azmodan, I would not send 4 bot. I would send 2 bot, 3 top, 3 bot, 2 top. Get more heroes out of this bot lane so that these heroes aren't going to finish their quests in 2 minutes and kill you the whole game. The laning setup, it doesn't matter too much. This is a short laning phase. The worst thing you can do during the laning phase is feed an Azmodan 100 stacks, or feed a Medivh his entire quest, or feed a Gul'dan his entire quest in this laning phase, and have them really empowered for the team fight. If you have 4 heroes in here, and they're all stacked together, and the enemies have a bunch of heroes stacked on top of you, they're going to finish their quest in 2 minutes. Keep that in mind in the laning phase. Okay, so part 4, what's the strategy on this map? This is the most important part. At the 2-minute and 30-second mark, the objective is going to be a now. So at 2:30, come and do this camp. Why is this so important? This camp is going to push a lane while you're all fighting over the objective, and the enemies are going to have to respond to it. This is really important. So if you do your camp properly at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the enemy is going to have 2 options from there. They're going to either capture their camp and have the same thing going for them, or the enemy is not going to capture their camp properly. Either they won't do it, or they'll do it too early and you'll clear it for free or something. If you do yours properly, your team can stand here and defend as 5, and just watch your camp. Your camp will be pushing. You can just look at it and you see if they're not showing and you're not showing, you chill. You have nothing else to do. This camp is going to push. You captured your camp properly. It's going to push their towers. They're defending. You're defending. You're looking at each other. Don't go and attack because it's risky. Either they send someone to go clear, and in which case you invade because you're 5 versus 4 now. You go invade. And you say, okay, you're sending someone to clear, let's go on here. You can fight them, you can kill them, you can get the immortal, you get a nice advantage. Or if they don't, you can just sit there and watch their fort slowly die. They'll probably go respond to it. Now also, when you're attacking and defending, think about this immortal as half a player. If you're on their immortal and you're fighting them 5 versus 5, you're not really 5 versus 5, you're like 5 versus 5.5. This immortal, he absorbs skill shots. If you're shooting a skill shot that gets absorbed by minions and monsters, it'll take away damage from the enemies. He'll do damage, he'll do the AoE knockback. This is really impacting a team fight. Think about it like that, and if you think about fighting on top of theirs 5 versus 5, you'll need a talent tier, or you'll need level 10, and they don't have it, or you'll need some sort of advantage. And you can't just fight them 5 versus 5 on their immortal with no other advantage. You're going to lose that fight 9 out of 10 times. Now let's talk about what happens when you capture the immortal and you're pushing. Now you've gotten your objective, you played this smart, you played around the camp, you've said, we're going to force 5 versus 4 fights the whole time, and we're not going to take even fights with them because we're either going to defend and wait for them to go clear the camp, or we're going to attack when we have talent tier advantage, or you're going to use some sort of advantage most of the time. Generally, the most important thing to remember is don't fight 5 versus 5 on their immortal. That's really a way to throw the game, and try to force 5 versus 4.5 fights by sending someone to go clear your bruiser camp that's pushing in lane, so you can force a 5 versus 4.5 fight. Now, you've captured the immortal, you've used these strategies, you captured the immortal, and you played heroes you're good at, you've gotten your advantage. What do you do now? You're pushing. So if it's before level 10, pushes 4 with the immortal and send 1 to soak the other opposite lane. If it's between level 10 and level 13, we're going to think about this one. Are we an early game comp that has, a lot of early game heroes like Rhaegar, like Kerrigan, maybe an ETC Jaina blow up comp, something like that? If you have to win early game with your comp, pushes 5 as soon as you get level 10. If you're a late game comp, maybe you're running Illidan, Zeratul, Asmodee, Leoric, like really crazy late game heroes, probably you soak it out. Soak till level 13, send 4 and 1, play it a little bit more safely until you hit your power spike, and then push. If it's level 13 and on, pushes 5 and try and get a keep with your objective. So that's the strategy. Let's jump into part 5, the most important parts. So there's really 2 important parts here. Play around the shaman camp. Use this camp wisely. This camp is very powerful. Make sure this is always pushing as soon as the objective starts, and make the enemy team have to deal with it. He's almost like a little mini objective himself. He doesn't look like much, but this guy, he's really serious. He'll win you the game. So use this guy, play around him, force the enemy into a bad situation by having to respond to your camp or having to give up the objective. This wouldn't be so much of a section if I didn't see so many mistakes, but I have to emphasize this. Don't just play a race hero because you heard it was good. Play a race hero if you're good at a race hero. Race is very important in this map, but don't overvalue it. It's nice to kill the immortal quickly, but it's more nice to kill the enemy team quickly. So if you're really good at a hero that doesn't happen to have great race, this is a fine map to play it. I play Medivh every single time on this map. It's one of my best Medivh win rate maps, and Medivh has the worst race imaginable. He's terrible. So take that into consideration. Play what you can win a team fight here on this map. If it happens to be a race hero, play that. But if it doesn't happen to be a race hero, it's okay as well. So Battlefield of Eternity, a lot to think about there, a lot to take in. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can catch me on twitch.tv/chillrog. I stream Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So you catch me then, ask questions, whatever you need to know. That's a great time to ask me. Also, feel free to let me know in the comments below any questions you have, any future videos you might want to see, anything on your mind, let me know in the comments. Besides that, guys, thanks a lot for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.